Welcome to the A-Team, location Mexico, in the city of somewhere. Some corrupt cops are beating the crap out of a dude and trying to shoot him with his own gun that he removed the firing pin from. So they just leave with his money and let their dogs rip him to pieces. But he uncuffs himself using the firing pin, and his dog whisperer ass is able to stop the dogs from attacking him, cuffs them together, lights up a cigar, and we meet Liam Neeson, who plays Colonel Hannibal Lecter, and he's going to save his buddy who's about to be burned and hung by the same corrupt cop, Lieutenant Fuckface, aka Pretty Boy, aka Faceman, aka Peck, aka the guy from Hangover. So Hannibal's running across the desert, then sees a van speeding across it. He stands in its way to stop it, and the guy inside barely saw him and was able to stop in time. I don't know how the fuck it was that close. There's literally nothing else except for that guy in the desert, but whatever. Honeyball stops this badass motherfucking black dude. Hannibal holds a gun up to his head, and black guy's like, "You ain't gonna shoot me, grandpa." So he does shoot him in the shoulder and gets in the van to commandeer it. Then he sees his ranger tattoo and figures out it's also an army ranger dude called Bosco, who just moments ago somehow evaded the cops in a Lambo and fought a bunch of bitches to take back his beloved shaggin' wagon that they are in right now. They bond over a cute little army ranger nursery rhyme, introduce themselves to each other, and Smith's like, "I don't believe in coincidences, you're a ranger too, come help me save my other ranger friend, blah blah blah." Bosco agrees. They locate his friend using the money the corrupt cop stole from him that Hannibal had a tracker plan into. They make it there right as he starts getting roasted, free him, roll him down a hill, and shoot all the bad guys with stormtrooper aim, then run off and get the fucking Peck guy in the car. Hannibal gets really mad at him for trying to go after this corrupt Tuco cop on his own, and now Hannibal has to come and save his ass and improvise a plan on the spot. So Tuco gets into his chopper and goes after them while they go over to a hospital to find a mentally deranged pilot ranger there who hopefully can fly them out to safety. And while they're there, they're gonna patch up the flesh wound Hannibal gave to Bosco. And who does that but Captain Murdoch, the hyper-retarded pilot Hannibal's looking for. He stitches a lightning bolt into Bosco's arm, a nurse comes to get him, then he lights Pretty Boy's arm on fire. Smith comes to break up a fight between them, and for some reason the nurse left and didn't bring over any security or big buff dudes in white to take him back to his ward. Maybe they're on their way though. Anyway, Hannibal says some army stuff to Murdoch asking for his help, and like a sleeper agent with a few screws loose, he goes, "Sir, yes sir!" Tuco and his Mendejos arrive at the hospital, so they go up to the medical chopper to use it to escape. After Murdoch does some excellent and thorough pre-flight checks, they get on it and take off. Murdoch knocks a fucking AC unit or some shit on Bosco's van, which I feel like shouldn't be possible. But I don't know, maybe they don't even bolt it down. Maybe it's bolted down with 2 screws and some gum. Anyway, they take off, evade some bad guys. Tuco launches missiles at them that Murdoch evades by doing sick maneuvers like this bear roll, then pulls straight up and turns off the helicopter to avoid a couple of heat-seeking missiles that hit each other in front of him. Murdoch saying this:
"That's how we deal with heat seekers, chaps. We go for it."
Bosco almost falls out the open door of the chopper, but Face yanks him back in and they close the door. Murdoch turns the chopper back on and they keep flying. I ain't no army dude or missile expert or anything, but I'm pretty sure that heat-seeking missiles would still go for that chopper, because it's not like it drops down to 0 Kelvin as soon as you turn it off. Maybe they overshot it with how fast this chopper slowed down. Also, why is the chopper's door fucking open, you stupid unga bunga dipshits? Whatever. Chopper's back on, more evasive maneuvers are taken, but all in the direction of the great US of A until they are in US airspace. So Hannibal contacts a nearby jet doing stuff, telling it that they are friendlies and to come over and help them because they are being attacked by some other guy. And he contacts Tuco telling him that he's engaged in unauthorized warfare over US airspace, at which point the jet comes over and blows Tuco up. Then we cut to 8 years later where they became a team, in fact one of the best A-teams out there, and they completed 80 successful missions together. They're in some base in Iraq in the final stages of America pulling out of it after they fucked it up. Murdoch's cooking with gunpowder and antifreeze, Faces sunbathing, and Bosco's wrenching on his bike. Hannibal is doing some fucking shit, I don't know, he's saying goodbye to some Iraqis when he's approached by a CIA dude called Lynch, while Pretty Boy's ex-girlfriend, who happens to be DOD, which stands for Dominatrix of Dick, dancing on doo-doo. Dying of dicklessness? Or is it Department of Defense? Nah, that can't be it. Anyway, she got super promoted in the military now, and here's what happens as far as I understand it, which is not very well. Some thugs have plates that you can print US dollars with, and they want to move them along with $1 billion in cash out of Baghdad in the next 30 hours. Lynch wants Hannibal and his A-team to intercept this convoy and get the plates and the money, but there's a problem where they have strict orders to stay out of Baghdad. Something Morrison, the commander of this base, who is the best buds with Hannibal, tells him that he cannot sign off on this mission because of that. Sosa, Face's ex, also warns him of not doing this mission because it's her responsibility, or else she's gonna court-martial him and his team. By the way, she changes outfits, or at least the top half of her outfit, throughout the first day she's here, which I just find kind of odd. I mean, you're here for less than 30 hours to, like, I guess get the plates yourself or stop this A-team from getting the plates, and you have 2 outfits for the same day. Whatever, people sweat, women like to be clean, who cares? Smith begs Morrison to let him do this mission because if they don't, then Black Force, this guns for hire or private protection agency, whatever thing, will take the job on with their dickhead receding hairline leader called Pike, and they'll like make a mess of it or use the plates for evil, some shit like that, and fucking Hannibal super patriotic or whatever doesn't want these plates to get into the wrong hands. So Morrison gives him this blessing to do this shit off the books, and the A-team goes off to start planning, prepping, and MacGyvering gadgets to do this mission on the down low. So their plan involves a lot of precise timing and movie bullshit, impossible stunts, and a ludicrous amount of assumptions that they can definitely take steps towards increasing the possibility of them happening, but at the end of the day are still assumptions, and I will try and refrain on commenting on them as much as I can, but no promises. Anyway, plan for this one goes a bit like this. The money and plates are going to be transported in the middle of the night on a truck in a convoy. Face latches onto the bottom of it with a big magnet by popping out of the sewers and takes out the car behind using James Bond spikes, while Bosco takes out the second car behind by sliding a bike into it and exploding it somehow, making it onto the bus at the same time, or the truck, whatever. Hannibal ziplines onto the container as well, and they'll take out some guards together, while Bosco takes control of the truck and veers off to the right, leaving the lead car on its own. They go through a tunnel. Bosco gets into the container while I believe Hannibal and Peck disconnect the container from the truck itself. Either that or it wasn't connected at all, which is the only way this next part will work. They also staple a bunch of airbags to the side of it, which do not explode by the impact of them nailing it to the side of the thing, but explode when they impact the water, when they drop off this fucking cliff into a reservoir or lake or whatever, and somehow do not deflate immediately, which I thought they were supposed to do after an impact, but maybe that's a thing they can program out of airbags. Anyway, they drop into the water, the truck sinks, but the container is buoyant enough for the airbags to float. Murdoch comes over with a tilt rotor and destroys the lead car that came back for them, hoists them back to base, then lands the container and the cargo valve itself. Morrison comes over in the Humvee to welcome them back, but then his car explodes, and the Black Force boys are seen running out of the container with the plates, then blowing it up. Pike then kills his own men and drives off. Sosa comes over with her armor police to arrest Hannibal and his boys in the same goddamn outfit she wore yesterday. That's right, yesterday, because Bosco stole a door off the Black Forest car at night to use it as a skip plate and then seen modifying it in the morning, which means that this mission took place the night after, not the night of. You see why I find this weird? Yes, I know washing machines exist, but fuck you, dog, whatever. Sosa gets the motor because she lost the plates. The AI team gets taken to military court for going back into Baghdad and doing an unauthorized operation. They try saying it was a covert one, but the only one that can verify that is dead, which is Commander Morrison, so they get stripped of their rank, dishonorably discharged, and individually sent to different military prisons. But Hannibal tells his team that the mission isn't over, and he vows to clear their names by finding Pike and the plates. But everybody thinks that they were working with Pike, everybody except for Lynch, who visits Hannibal 6 months later in prison with information about the whereabouts of Pike and the plates, but Hannibal, in prison, somehow has more information about Pike than the fucking CIA. Lynch still wants the plates and Pike now, I guess, so Mr. Liam tells him that he'll get on the Pike and the plates if he clears his and his team's names. Lynch agrees and gives him a cigar laced with the perfect amount of dexahomochromatomadosis, which is a drug that almost kills you for a short amount of time, which he uses to fake his own death and get into a cremation furnace and survive the extreme heat in there by directing away the flames, which I don't think is enough to survive that, but I've never been cremated before, so I can't really speak to that. He escapes and gets to Peck, who built a real nice life for himself in prison by being a cheeky smart and getting a whole fucking wing of the prison all to himself with lots of perks, so Smith breaks him out by abducting him while he was tanning in a tanning box. Then they break out Bosco from a prison transport bus in a Fast and Furious-ish fashion. Later on, Bosco tells him that he took a vow of non-violence, which is not strictly accurate. He's still willing to do anything for them and be a little bit violent, just no killing and major violence, because in jail he found Jesus, or like the Mongolian version. By the way, how did that harpoon tip not pierce his chest in the drop? Also, in the same vein, how the fuck did he not completely batter his knees? Doesn't matter. Sosa is now hot on their heels because she begged to be put back on the case as soon as they found out that Hannibal escaped to try and redeem herself. Next up, they go to a military psych ward in Germany where Murdoch is to try and break him out. The doctors there are finding out that he's a different breed of retard. He's not even on the spectrum anymore. He's off the fucking charts. Transcended, miles above high-functioning lunatic territory. Electroshock therapy is nothing but a tickle to him. Hannibal sends him a coded message, a package with a movie and a bunch of 3D glasses in it, so he riles up the rest of the Looney Bin members to watch it. Then Sosa comes over because she's expecting an escape attempt and Hannibal to be here, so Murdoch pretends to be completely brain dead to avoid talking to El Diablo, which is mildly successful. She buys that for a little bit. The movie plays out. The boys break in with the most impeccably timed and hilarious gag ever. And you know they can monitor through windows and live security footage to make sure that Murdoch is within earshot of hearing the coded message, find out about the thickness of materials the wall was made of to make sure that they can break through it, and so on and so forth, but there's no way that I can guarantee that no one is sitting a fucking micro penis length away from that wall, or even that Murdoch himself is not sitting real close to that wall. And these are the type of assumptions I'm talking about. The fact that no one here is at least injured is a fucking miracle. Also, there are a couple of continuity errors here. This guy Murdoch was talking to goes from having no 3D glasses on in one angle, then has them on in a different angle, then off again. And when the boys get Murdoch into the car and reverse out of the wall, Sosa and her soldiers pepper them with bullets and take out the rear left tire, but in subsequent shots it switches to be the rear right tire. This movie is littered with errors like this. One of them being so annoying to me is literally one of the fucking reasons I made this channel. No joke, don't worry, I'll show you which one later. The boys escape and go to a nearby runway because they're on an army base, and Hannibal commandeers this C-130 by simply being a super famous army dude, and the people in charge of this plane were big fans of his, so they just handed it over. Murdoch starts the plane and gives Bosco a pill to knock him out, because ever since Mexico he gave him a fear of flying. He spools up the engines and plays chicken with Sosa in a G-Wagon. His wings are amazingly undamaged after slamming into 1,000 jet fighter canopies and is able to take off. It is an army plane after all. Its wings are probably super strong, so it can take those hits. I don't know. Also, I don't know why the guy driving the G-Wagon didn't escape the plane that was gonna kill them, that can only move in a straight line by going either left or right. What a dumbass. Anyway, they get into the air and 2 drones come after them, launching missiles at them, so Murdoch launches flares and does a barrel roll to avoid them, but eventually a missile hits and takes out the plane, but not before they got into the tank that was in the back of that plane and parachute down with it. Peck gets out and uses the machine gun on top to take out one of the drones, but the debris from that takes out 2 of their chutes and they start falling really fast now. However, Hannibal sees on the navigation system that there's a lake nearby, so he turns the turret in such a way that when he fires it, it moves them towards this lake so they can land in it. They're also able to take out the second drone while doing so. Then once he's confident that they're going to land in the lake, he turns the turret full forward and fires everything to try and slow them down as much as possible so they can soften their landing. The autism team plummet down to the earth and hit the lake, sink to the bottom, start up the tank, drive out and head towards Berlin. Apparently there are some people online arguing that this no doubt badass and cool as fuck scene is actually kind of plausible, saying that one parachute and the shots would slow them down enough to soften their landing, and this is an amphibious tank so it can drive out. However, I am of the opinion that those people are fucking retarded and wrong, because just because the tank survived doesn't mean they did. They probably hit their heads heads on a bunch of metal and cracked them like eggs. Also, amphibious does not mean submersible. They sank to the bottom of that lake, and that tank, as far as I can tell, does not run on fucking nuclear energy. It has a normal engine that probably got flooded and hydrolocked, so them driving out is bullshit. There are many other reasons making this whole scene bullshit, but we don't have any time for that, so let's continue. Lynch and Sosa find out that they're still alive, and she finds out that Lynch is the one that broke Hannibal out of prison and is able to get a hold of him and tells him on a phone call that she's onto him, so now he wants her dead. Meanwhile, everyone finds out that Pike is gonna give all the plates to some unknown Arab that they think has something to do with all this at a bank in Frankfurt. Then they're gonna take a train to some in other place, doesn't really matter. So Sosa goes to wait for them at the train station. Don't know why this dumb bitch didn't go to the bank and try and catch him there, but whatever. Peck goes there as well and sneakily protects her from getting assassinated by Lynch's men, tries to convince her that they're innocent and hashes out old drama with her, then traps her in a photo booth while his team make a play for the plates at the bank. And I'm gonna skip over most of the details of how they do this, but they do it in their typical A-Team insane Mission Impossible style. They kidnap the Arab by throwing him out of the window with a shoot, letting Murdoch catch him. Hannibal has a chance to kill Bald Spot Guy but doesn't, and just takes the plates. And I really don't understand why he didn't just pop him right then and there. There's literally no reason for him to keep him alive. He's just gonna be a pain in the ass for them later, which he is. He gives them trouble while they try to get away with the plates, and goes from having potato aim to Hawkeye aim, gets run over by Hannibal but lives. They eventually get away with the plates and Pike gets arrested by Sosa. And here's what happens next as far as I understand it, which surprisingly more than 10 years later is still not that good. But here I go. The A-Team reconvene at a big lake shack to find out that the mystery Arab is Morrison. See, Morrison, Lynch, and Pike were all in on this plate stuff back in Baghdad, but Morrison colluded with Pike to cut Lynch out of the deal and faked his own death. Lynch knew that he was alive and masquerading as the unknown Arab, so he wanted Hannibal to kill him, but Hannibal also had a suspicion that Morrison was still alive and pretending to be the unknown Arab, so he didn't kill him and calls Lynch like, what the fuck, man, where's the deal? Are we gonna get our fucking freedom or not? But Lynch is like, please hold, your call is very important to us, and literally bombs the fuck out of them, but is only able to kill Morrison. The team survives, but he thinks they're all dead, so he sends a team to pick up the plates and considers this a job done. Goes over to steal Pike away from Sosa by using a bullshit CIA like warrant or something, only to rub it in his face that he got the last laugh and kill him himself for double crossing him back in Baghdad. But then they get news that Hannibal and his team are still alive and are contacting Sosa. He listens in on this call because he has his tabs on her phone. Now Hannibal is out of ideas on how to clear their names without Morrison, but Pretty Boy is not. His plan is letting Lynch know they're alive by purposely calling Sosa on the line that they know Lynch has tapped and making Hannibal line say that they still have Morrison alive and to meet them at the LA docks tomorrow where they will hand the plates over and she will clear their names with Morrison's testimony. The phone call ends, then Peck himself calls her on a phone that is untapped that he planted on her, which is a Nokia E71, but then when she picks it up and turns into a slide phone, which it is not. I know this because that is my phone. I had that phone and I was so proud of myself when I spotted that mistake back when this movie first came out. Went to eagerly check out Cinema Sins' video about this movie to see if they addressed this mistake, and I found out that they didn't. So I said to myself, if I ever make a YouTube channel like this, I will wait till it has some traction, then make a video about it myself. And here we are. I can die in peace now. Actually, I have a few more things I want to do. Also, in the movie, Hannibal told Sosa that he was going to keep this call short, less than 30 seconds, so she can't trace his location. But then the dumb proceeded to spend way longer than 30 seconds on the call, and the bitch still wasn't able to trace his location. Anyway, the movie does not show the call between Sosa and Face, but I will assume that he told her the rest of the plan. They travel to LA using a plane that drops him onto a shipping container boat, where Bosco's having an internal struggle with his non-violence vow. So Hannibal comes over like, you know, Gandhi once said that violence is good sometimes. That's cap. No, it isn't. For real? On God. They prep for this plan of his while interweaving shots of him continuing to explain it. And here's how that goes. When they get to the docks, they're gonna reveal Hannibal with the plates and Murdoch pretending to be Morrison wearing a hood, then cover him up and shuffle him around in a bunch of containers that look similar, like they're playing follow the ball but on a massive scale to fuck with Lynch, who they know is waiting for them over there. Then Peck will set the containers down and Bosco will distract Lynch's ground team, blow them up with a couple shitty BMWs to try and confuse and distract Lynch, which kind of works. He's like, yo, 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 what the hap is fucking-ing? They want to eliminate most of his team, get him angry and impatient enough to come down, get the plates, and kill fake Morrison himself. And all that shit was meant to go smoother than it turned out to be because Pike was there, because Lynch kept him alive and gave him a second chance to redeem himself by helping him get the plates again and kill Morrison. He noticed that the boys were playing games, so he was like, okay, cocksuckers, let's see how your well-laid plans hold up against my good friend Random Chaos, and launches a rocket at the ship, causing it to tip over and dump all his containers like it's spilling out french fries. Somehow none of the A-Team dies and they all make it to the ground. Pike goes down there as well and engages in a firefight with Peck. Then Bosco shows up to save his life by slam dunking Pike's spine into the ground, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Lynch went down to look for Honeyballs and fake Morrison just as planned and finds them, fights Smith for a bit, who's intentionally sandbagging and lets him win for a second, so Lynch can shoot fake Morrison in the head. They continue fighting, exchange a few good licks into each other. Lynch finds out that Morrison is still alive somehow, even though he shot him in the fucking head. Then the container is lifted up to literally reveal him holding the bag. He's caught red-handed. Sosa and the rest of the Dodd Army police are there to see him in the act. There's no way around it. I just don't understand how in the flying fuck they were able to lift this container with no cranes around, able to do this, because the ship is tipped over, making the cranes on it fucking useless. And these cranes right here, you see those little lines there? Those are rails they slide on to go left and right to pick shit up, and they can't obviously go there, so how the fuck do they lift it up? I don't know. Doesn't matter. No one cares. It gets lifted. Fuck it. Turns out Murdoch melted Kevlar, which is something you cannot do, but whatever, he made a bulletproof helmet, wrapped it in ketchup packets, and that's how he survived. Lynch gets arrested, but then in the morning he gets taken away by another CIA Lynch, and Sosa gives the plates over to her boss, who re-promotes her. Hannibal and his boys get arrested once more. Her boss says that they will remain guilty. They are again shocked and betrayed. She is just as surprised and disappointed, so she tells Pretty Boy that she will do everything in her power to help right this wrong, and French kisses cuff keys into his mouth that they later on use to escape custody and live on with their lives as ruthless good guy vigilante type people. This movie gets 68 North Sentinel Islands out of 88 hollow point bullets.